As I mentioned in my previous ear posting video, there are dozens of ways to post ears. This open discussion seminar held at the Doberman Pinscher Club of America National is further proof of that. Besides myself, there were at least 3 other attendees that, just between the 4 of us, have over 140 years of experience breeding and posting Doberman puppy ears. Despite that, we eagerly attended this seminar because there are always tips and tricks that others have come up with that we might like to incorporate into our own ear posting arsenal. The seminar was hosted by Dr. Kay Backus. Aside from being the senior staff veterinarian at the Tulsa Zoo, she owns and responsibly breeds Dobermans. Her dogs have had great success in the show ring, and Dr. Backus is active herself with them in competitive obedience, rally, fast cat, agility, and more. But what she's really known and appreciated for is her skill as a gifted ear cropper, with the know-how and experience to correct ear crops botched by other vets who are not properly trained in the art. Now let's join the seminar in progress.
Everybody who's ever posted a dog and had them stand is a successful poster. And you learn new things from other people, and that's why we're here. We have a plethora of different adhesives up here. Again, feel free to come up and check them out. We love SkinTac. It's an adhesive enhancer. It comes in little packets. You can buy a box of 50. One little packet will do 1 set of ears. Literally, once you back up your post and you're ready to go, open this and go up the ear, up the ear. It'll get tacky and it will help those posts stay in without the really heavy gooiness of Torbot. Sometimes you want Torbot. I think Torbot really works great for your zip tie method because it really needs something heavy. But just for posts, if you're not having problems, this is really nice and it'll come off with rubbing alcohol.
So you always use it as something, I mean, I don't use anything other than the tape.
If you don't have a problem, everybody is welcome to take a packet of this to try it. One little packet will do a posting. You may really like it.
You just give me yours, I'll use one.
Here, pass them around here. Ooh. Yay, SkinTac. And then it also comes as a jar. If you have a whole bunch of puppies to post. Right, I mean, wait for it to get tacky. So back wrap your rods and then do this to your ear and go and let it get tacky. If you guys want to feel it, come let me swipe this on you. Now I won't be able to do anything because I'll be sticky. And it will come off rubbing alcohol. Give it 15 to 20 seconds to get tacky.
If you don't let it get tacky, it'll slip right off the ear.
Right, it makes it slippery. So don't think it's not working. Give it a few minutes. Waft it around.
You have to reapply. Like say the puppy's moving and it sticks. You know, like if you don't get the glue on right, and they shake their head and like glue on their face and like.
Not tested. It's already tacky. It's just an adhesive.
You can pull it off.
Yeah, you can pull it off and reapply if you need. Yeah. But I mean, it's just sticky. So it's not an adhesive. It's an adhesive enhancer. I like it because it's light and it's easy to get off.
Do you ever use that when you're taping it directly after the ear crop? When you're putting the...
No, we actually use Torbot with that.
It's not in that.
It's just not, I mean, this probably would be, it might be, but we use Torbot on the ears because we want that cup to last at least 7 days. So now my hands, you can, they're kind of tacky. It just makes your post stick better and it's not as heavy. You might have a dog that acts like it's allergic to Torbot.
Yeah.
Maybe this would be better. Yeah. So
it's made by the same company.
Right. So we have those for adhesive. We have Torbot. Everybody knows Torbot. We have SkinTac, just another option. We're making half posts here. I'm going to let Stacy finish those. And then we have Guard-Tex. You've had trouble with Guard-Tex.
You find some are have a reaction to that?
I find very little reaction to this because it doesn't have any adhesive.
Well, I use it, but one of my clients said their dog had a reaction to it.
Really? Well, I mean, I guess you could.
I don't know if it was,
What I would recommend everybody do is take a strip of Guard-Tex and wrap it around your finger. It has no adhesive to it.
Boy, that stuff is hard to get the thing.
Right, so just wrap it on there fairly snug and then stick it together. It'll fold, it will go ahead and mold to the ear. You can see the skin through it. It'll breathe much better than regular tape.
So do you think that's good the first wraps early on, or because
We use it from the very beginning when we start posting.
Wow.
And
Even
the
with-
only thing, just like Ann said, is always leave yourself a courtesy tab because this stuff sticks to itself and you lose a tab. It's the most aggravating thing ever.
Cotton swab and just roll the end onto it?
Right, that works too. You know, whatever works for you. And then I pre-rolled this, and I really believe in if you're going to use the roll instead of strips, pre-roll it and set it gently back on because then you can't. It's hard to get it too tight.
Yeah.
If you're trying to strip it off the roll, and you'll see every good bandage tech in a hospital will pre-roll their tape and then put it back on if they're going to use it. So they lay it on with the tension that they want. Okay, so ta-da. Everybody gets a free roll of Guard-Tex. It's like Oprah Winfrey show. A free roll of Guard-Tex for everybody.
Kay, do you find, like if you still had the litter together plain, do you still use the Guard-Tex? I mean, because
I
I
had no
could imagine
problem with
within
it.
like a day they would all be off.
I mean, I had no problem with it, but I didn't have a huge litter. You know, some people separate their puppies and some people don't.
Yeah.
You know,
I use the Torbot whenever they're playing like that or
Yeah.
rough on their post, and that makes a big difference.
And that's what I use is, the Torbot.
oh. It's like, okay. All right, you ready? Yep. Stacy? Whoa, Linda.
You want to put her up here? Or?
Yeah. Woo. Sorry. You guys can just come down here. I don't have to throw them. Sorry. It's just more fun. So anyway, we wanted y'all to try it. If you hate it, you hate it. You know, but we do lock it down to the bottom with tape because it doesn't adhere to the skin. So it tends to roll up as the dog runs around. That's where we use our tape. And we'll go around a couple times with tape. Not like this, but I mean, some people like to cut them in strips and some people like to roll it off of the thing. But I'll lock my Guard-Tex down at the bottom of the ear with a piece of tape and it just prevents it from going up. I mean, we're not going to tell you, hey, you can get wet with Guard-Tex, but you can get really heavily misty and high humidity with Guard-Tex. I have a couple of friends in Florida that just swear by Guard-Tex because it breathes in that high humidity. It doesn't take the hair off.
Yeah.
It doesn't take the hair off.
Yeah.
So you'll have a little bit of hair around the tape, but it doesn't typically take the hair off. Do we have anybody that we could do half posts on? Or what are you going to do the zip? You pull- and you. Okay, that's right. That's a paper towel. I want to see that. Okay.
So you, I'm gonna take that. Take it tight, roll it in duct tape. I leave just a little piece of the backer right out. That's what's gonna touch the ear. And then just roll it.
Push it down. And see how nice and straight it is now?
And
It's like magic.
If you need them to be more rigid than that for any reason, the T-Rex duct tape, it's a little more expensive, but it makes them stiff.
So now I'm going to demonstrate how Dr. Backus wraps her post. And as she mentioned in the video, she allows a little bit to stick out beyond the duct tape, and then she rolls it on there. Before I wrap this up in the white tape, I do want to talk about duct tape. And you have to be extremely careful with duct tape and puppy ears. The fact that she's using this as something to make the foam stiffer is fine because it's going to be totally, the duct tape part is going to be totally covered up with the white tape. So none of this is going to make contact with the puppy's skin. The problem comes when people use posts like this without any kind of white tape covering, or they use duct tape itself to wrap the ear, and and that causes two problems. One is that duct tape is not breathable. If it gets any kind of moisture in there, whether it's trapped at the time of the posting or after the posting, the puppy is outside and it rubs its head in the dewy grass, or in drinking water, some splashes up and gets on its ear post, another dog licks it, whatever. If that moisture works its way down into between the duct tape and the ear, it's going to be trapped there. And it will literally cause, if it's left like that long enough, it can cause the ear to literally rot away. So the other problem is that a lot of puppies are allergic to whatever the adhesive is or whatever the substance is that is in duct tape. So you'll see a lot of puppies that have just bad reactions, breaking out in irritation, redness, gooiness, etc. So if you use duct tape, again, always make sure that it's covered with your white tape and never use duct tape to wrap ears. Now, in a later portion of this video, you're going to see a presenter that demonstrates using duct tape as a front-only bridge for a particular style of posting that she's doing. And in this case, it's a half width of duct tape, and it's only touching the front open edge that has hair underneath it. So it's a very, very small area that's actually being touched by the duct tape. And because it is attached to such an open area, it's very easy for you to assess whether there's any type of reaction going on. And if you see it, then you know just to remove that duct tape and discontinue using it. Now let me get back to taping this up, demonstrating how to do that. We want to leave this area open because this is going to be the cushion that's going to be down in the bottom of the ear. Dr. K does it like this. I put a piece of cotton round around the bottom of it to give it a little bit of absorbency and some more cushion, but that's, you know, again, there's dozens of ways to do this. So I'm just taking my white cloth tape, and I recommend Zonas tape, and there's one other, can't think of the name of it right now, but I will link both of them in the video description. They are both porous. All right, so now when I get down here to this point, I'm going to begin to back wrap. So I'm just taking the existing tape, make a little fold, and come back around and go up. And this is the post that you will see in a moment Dr. K is using for her posting for full ears and for half posts. From this point forward in the video, you'll often hear Dr. Backus referring to
Anti-helix, the knob, the shelf, the whatever you call it, whatchamacallit, doodad.
And this is the anti-helix. It's just a soft, fleshy protrusion in the ear, and you'll oftentimes hear presenters making mention of it as an anatomical mark for where they put their post or they start their tape and so forth.
Set it on that bump, the lump, the shelf. Its actual name is the anti-helix, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to do half posts on this puppy. We can still pull the ear up on there, and I'm just going to make sure that I have at least a finger's breadth more length. I mean, I know, and you guys, I feel dumb saying this because you guys are all really experienced. That, you know, but we tell our pet people, you've got to make sure the posts are taller than the ears. And they'll come in and the tips are hanging off the top, and you're like, whiskey, tango, foxtrot, you know. Everybody does it different. And she's gonna pull up, and that SkinTac, that ear's gonna stick to that post. Okay? we still typically put the post on and rotate back the way the skin fold goes. But I really liked Elizabeth's concept about putting that skin fold back the opposite way to kind of, it helps a little bit with like the ears that try to point in the center, that try and touch the center. That was a great trick.
One concern I sometimes get about using that method of taking the fold out is that the fold will stay in that open position. But rest assured it doesn't. It's simply a device to help prevent the ears from crossing over the head. When all is said and done and the ears are finished being posted, those folds will be exactly like they were when you started posting months earlier.
And then she's going to go around, at least half of that white tape is going to go down around. Notice how she's covered up where the post set. If you can see the post sitting on the anti-helix, aka the bump, the shelf, the doodad, whatever you call it, they're gonna open up over time because it's gonna cycle. So she wants to cover that, but look, the bell is still open. The bell can still breathe. Now, if you're gonna trim it, put your finger on the ear tip.
Yeah.
You do not want to cut the ear tip off. Yeah. And she's going to really pull that ear up onto there.
If you're finding value in this or any of my other videos, I'd appreciate it if you would like the video, subscribe to my channel, and then hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever I upload new material.
I typically do it just out of a habit. I mean, some people say I start from the bottom. Some people say, again, every way is right as long as you're taking care of stuff and you're taking care of the skin, making sure you're not too tight, making sure the skin is clean and dry. You know, it's okay. If you start from the bottom, start from the bottom. If that gives you what you need, you know, you have a post that stays on, a post that ends up with a standing ear.
Do you use anything in particular when you clean them afterwards, just to?
I have a little skin wipe there, a little Zymox ear skin wipe. I also have just an ear cleaner. Sometimes, as long as there's not a sore, you can just use a little alcohol to get the wax out, to take that waxy layer off of the ear side skin. That'll help take that wax off.
Use the Zymox? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I have some Zymox ear wipes down here.
Does it matter which direction she's wrapping that in?
Most people like to go the direction that the ear fold folds back toward the center line of the head.
Okay.
But Elizabeth had a nice thing on her YouTube thing about folding it the other way to prevent it. It helps the ears not fold inward. Like sometimes when you have ears and they stand up and they point and they actually touch in the center of the head.
Yeah.
There's another way to do this. Now, Stacy has a choice here with her next move, is how far to spread these ears apart with the half post method. The half post method, you have to use a solid bridge because the post does not go down into the base of the ear and does not provide the support needed. I'm gonna set her down for a second. If you are seeing pockets, you have several ways to deal with pockets. One thing you can deal with pockets with a half post is to do what I call bullfight horns. Because you're taking the skin right here and pushing it out instead of letting it roll in with your pocket. You guys all know what pockets are, right? You see the ear and it kind of rolls over and then points the opposite way. So I have treated pockets literally with just spreading them apart. Most people like 11 in 1 or 10 in 2, but if you're seeing pockets, try, I call this the bullfight position. And it does help right at the skin, right at the base. It helps that ear to go the other way instead of over like that. Now, really severe pockets, you can also, of course, do the full post with the bumper. We all have seen that. But this is another way to deal with a pocket when it first formed. This has been very effective in our experience. You may have had another experience. So right now, why don't we just do 10 and 2?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're done. No more tape. Was what you just have on there right now.
Right.
Right.
Other than taping this one.
I like that.
Right, this will help the backer rod. This will help the Guard-Tex from not wadding up because it has no adhesive.
Anchors it. and
Right, so
holds
the
it in
only place
air.
the Guard-Tex is being stuck down is the back wrapped part of the rod. And then she's sizing her rod
For
there.
you. Here.
Is that gonna be 10 and 2? I think so. She's gonna put that rod down as close to the forehead as she can get it. Sometimes when you see on those ear posting websites that people put them way up here, you got all this here for it to catch on something. So put it down as close to the forehead as you can.
Whenever I pull it up high and twist that ear in.
Just a little bit. She's gonna go around. And she's gonna get the other one, kind of pull it up. And all she's doing is making sure that the rod's touching the same, overall, general same part of the back of the ear. Not like up in front on one and way on the back on the other, by pulling it up and kind of giving it a twist to go forward. Okay? She's gonna have to shore that up or the rod will pop out the top or the bottom. I love the fact she used pink on this black bitch puppy, because you can see the ear. And I love that about Guard-Tex, that you can see the ear, you can see the hair. You know, so when you do the sniff test, you're actually sniffing the skin. You know, it's not that covered up. I think it breathes well.
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Like I said, my friends in Florida that use it just love it because it breathes. So.
We have a lot of humidity in Michigan, so they
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And you kind of squeeze them and then when I check them every day, I mean, you can do this and rub them and still do your massage and make sure that they pass the sniff test. Okay, so that's a nice little posting. It took her, you know, we did all the prep work ahead of time, and this pup's ready to go. These posts, I mean, they should last as long as you feel comfortable, no more than 7 days. We tell most people 3 to 5. How long do they last? If you think there's anything going on, you take them off. This is a backer rod post I make for an older dog. This is a fancy backer rod post. It's actually what I call a paddle. And it goes down into the ear, but then above the anti-helix, it has this thing to flatten the ear out, so it won't do this. This goes down in the ear, and it flattens that ear. I still have enough to wrap the bell around, but this does that top of the ear where you want it to be like this on the dog, not like this. And on a big dog, I've got a zip tie. This thing is rigid as hell, but because of that, I'd want the zip tie on the outside away from the dog's ear. I don't want to hurt the dog's ear. When you make these giant paddles for the older dogs, they have a right and a left. See how it's marked? And so it goes in like this, and above, this comes in above the anti-helix, the knob, the shelp, the whatchamacallit, and then it flattens that. So when you wrap that ear, as it get older, you wrap it too much, you lose that, you want that ear to come up like this, nice and flat, not rotate out. You know, the ear is flat like this.
You don't want it to be a back.
Right, as the top of the ear, you want like this, but you have that vel, and so you want it above that anti-helix, you want it to be flat like this. You want Batman. I always feel like I'm landing a plane at this point.
Yeah.
You know, and if you wrap too tightly, you can get it like this.
Yes.
And I love the fancy paddles. I mean, this is like a 10-minute, like drinking coffee in the morning, making fancy paddles. But you make one, and then you measure. This is a heavy piece of backer rod wrapped in that, and then I measure where the anti-helix starts when I put this in, and I put the second piece of backer rod on it, and I go around with duct tape and I make a paddle.
So this is more of a close-up of how to make the paddle post that Dr. K. Backus is talking about in the video. Remember, these are for older puppies or for young adults that need a little bit more definition of straightening that ear rather than trying to actually get them to stand. This is a fine-tuning method more so. She uses the 5/8 inch because, again, she is dealing with an older dog. And I have just cut random pieces here. I don't have a dog to post, so I haven't done any measurements. But if you were at home measuring, you would take your caulking rod, your roll, and insert it into the bell of the ear and pull it up alongside the ear, and then you're going to add about 1 inch to it. In this case, I'm just using this length. Whenever you've got it in that ear, you also want to take note of where that anti-helix is. And let's just say, for argument's sake, that it's right here. So I know that in this case, I'm going to start my second post about 2 inches up from the end. And then as far as the cable tie goes, it's going to be applied about 1 inch from the bottom, and it doesn't matter at the top what's going on here. We can always trim it down later. So we're going to start by taking a cotton round and just cut it in half. And then we're going to use it to cushion the bottom of this long piece. Again, this is what's going to actually be inserted into the bell. So you want it to not only be cushioned, but also you want something there that if the dog's ear has any kind of discharge or anything, it's going to help absorb and keep it dry. I'm going to apply our zip tie, again about an inch from the bottom, and just keep wrapping around. So I've cut a bevel on this shorter piece, and again I want it to come into this longer piece about 2 inches up from the bottom. And what's going to happen once this is all taped together, this is going to be sitting just right above that anti-helix in the ear. And as Dr. Dacus mentioned, you're going to have a left and a right piece. So as this is positioned now, once I get it wrapped up, this will be for the right ear. Let me make sure I got that right. Yes, that's going to be for the right ear. And you might think about it kind of in reverse. So if you're looking at this cable tie and you've got the extra piece on the left, then it's going to be for the right ear. If you're looking at the cable tie and you've got your extra piece on the right hand side, then that is going to be for your left ear. And like she did, I suggest just marking them to make them easier whenever you're grabbing them and putting them in the ears. So I'm just going to quickly wrap this smaller piece. Okay, so now if I am going to make my right hand post, I'm going to start again about 2 inches there. So it's on the left hand side of my cable tie. And then you can just go in and wrap these together. And let's actually start a little bit lower. Okay. So again, there's my zip tie. My zip tie is ending right there because I don't want it all the way down at the bottom of the bell where it might cause some irritation. And then this is the paddle part.
When you put it in and you rotate it in, that paddle doesn't start till above the anti-helix. You pull that on there, and it will also, you have plenty of room to wrap that bell around, but it holds the length of the ear above the anti-helix nice and flat. This is like a Cadillac post, man. It takes 10 minutes and a bunch of materials to make.
So you just added one more banker rod
Two.
you already shot. But my main one has a big heavy zip tie tied into it. Yeah, and they're left and right, just holding the ears flat. Did you get to be about 5-6 months and the puppy is bigger and you keep wrapping that around, you can tend to kind of wrap that ear around. It's just a different way of doing it. Other people handle it a different way. I think the zip tie does a really good job of also flattening that ear out, zip tie, you know? Yeah. I think it does a really good job of making the same form than this does. And I do all sorts of things. I'll do this 1 week. I'll do half post the next week. Zip tie needs to be on your main raw because that's where you need the strength. This is going to go down into the bell.
Yeah, she does wrong.
This is going to go down into the bell, And the secondary piece of back rod doesn't start till above the anti-helix. And see how it's going to help keep that ear nice and flat. I can still wrap my bell around, but it's keeping this flat part of the ear in that line straight up the head.
My curling.
Right, it's right. And so it's not promoting the ear to curl this way. It's keeping it flat that way. Okay? It's not back wrapped, it's not glued in. Both of those are 5/8 as well. These are both 5/8. So, I mean, and it's not something you're gonna need on a new puppy. And also my zip tie stops about 1 inch above. I don't want to jam that down into the ear where it's gonna hurt or jam the ear. Yeah. So anyway, you could do anything. I mean, you could do all sorts of cool stuff with backer rod. That right ear has got the smallest amount of pocketing, just a little bit. So if I were gonna do anything, it's not bad, but you don't want it to get worse on that right ear. Rather than do a big bumper, you could do that, it wouldn't hurt, but you could also do half post and bullfight instead of like 10 and 11 and 1. You can spread them apart, and right where that ear comes to the forehead, you're bending it the opposite way of the pocket. And I have found it really helpful. And I don't let my puppy's ears get to the point where they're doing this. If it's doing that, I would probably do a full post with a big bumper on it. Wouldn't you guys? Yeah. I mean, but it's just starting to. Bullfight horns, and you can alternate. There's no reason, there's no post that lasts more than about 5 to 7 days. So why wouldn't you try one method, give it an hour and see what happens and try the next?
Sparkle, because Viva or Bounty, when you go to roll it, it's very spongy and it's just too fluffy. So it's hard to roll
So this is
to get a
Sparkle.
nice cylinder.
Paper towels.
Nice and tight. So this is 2 paper towels rolled, and what I do is, depends on the ear canal of the puppy. Of course, they're little right now, so you want to make it as super tight as you can, and I roll it, and then I just secure it with the tape. Then when they get older, when I loosen the wrap, and my cylinder is bigger to fit in the canal, because I find if it's too little, it bangs around too much. If it's too big, it pops out more. So this is what I do with the babies. You can measure it and cut it. Sometimes I just leave it like that because we're going to be changing it so often. I don't worry about cutting it to the ear. So, and
Paper towel.
it's just a paper towel.
Okay.
So to go a little advanced, and I'm ready to make the post stiffer, because now this is good because they're little, it's stiff, but it's absorbent. But then as they get older, like she was saying about the back rod, you don't want the bending. Mm-hmm. So then I put support in here. You can use a half sheet of computer paper, and I just kind of fold it in. I know you can't really see. And I'm still gonna, I'm not wrapping it and making it. Once again, depending on the dimension of the ear canal, you can, make it super tight, or you can widen it to go in, and it makes it's still tight and it's absorbent. Okay, so this is with adding extra to it.
I like the idea of being absorbent.
And I'm still securing it with the tape, and I'll still take another piece. And as with the backer rod, I'm going to back roll it.
So now I wanted to show you what is meant by back wrapping. And I'm just going to use a piece of just a plain caulking rod foam to show this technique to you. As far as back wrapping, what they mean is sticky side out. So you start by applying the tape to the foam, then you're going to flip it so that now it is sticky side out, and we just start wrapping. You can wrap the tape around the foam, or you can just roll it. Whatever works for you, it doesn't matter. And so now you have your sticky side out back wrapped rod.
Right, as they get older, sometimes you don't want it to bend as much, but you need a bigger diameter to stay in the ear. Because if it's too small, it just bangs around in there, and they're shaking their head more because it's tickling, and it's not fitting as tight. So this is my post ready to go, and then I do use the vet wrap, and I cut off like a little 4x4 square for each ear.
I
Oh,
would
baby.
only recommend vet wrap for an experienced breeder. Don't ever let your pet take it.
Well, I don't, and we have a when we go over everything, and what a lot of my people do is if they're not comfortable, we do FaceTime on the phone.
Okay.
They videotape as I'm showing their puppy.
Okay.
And I must have said it 100 times, never stretch it around the ear, just lay it, and you want to press it to the post. We're not squashing it, because that's where you have the problems. All right, so I'll just do the one ear for now, and we'll see, because we're just he's not really putting both ears up front. Who are you? Come here, little girl. I know who you are. Come here, Daisy.
Her right ear is less.
Come here, Daisy. Oh, baby girls. What do you think, baby girls? I might need a holder. Come here, baby girls. Now, I have not used this SkinTac stuff, but I think that would be really good. But for her purposes of showing today, I think we're just going to go regular. All right. So we're going to start because everybody's over here. So I got my little postie made. And it doesn't matter which end you're going to use, but if I think it needs to go a little smaller, because this is how little the ear canal is, I'll just twist my paper towel to fit in there. I go out and down. I always make sure it feels, and it's in that little pocket, so I know it's in the ear. I stretch it up, so I don't have any pocket there. Now I do front to back, because I do keep this little end, that little fold natural. I'm holding it, and I just go around. Nice and light, I'm not putting any pressure, and I'm pressing it to the post. And I'm still holding it so it can't slide down. I start on the tape, and I just lay it around. Once again, I'm just pressing it to the post.
And there was no pull on that.
I'm not
that
pulling,
wrap.
I'm not pulling anything, it's just sticking. The only thing that's gonna hold that is that my first wrap. And then I'll reverse it here. Now what I do, they'll do that, like you guys do, the little bridge. I do a figure 8. Okay. So when my ears are up, I'm looking at them like straight on like this. I start at the base. I wrap that around. I come around, and then I look at them, and that's how I set my ears in the beginning.
So you're just using a soft bridge, man. Yeah.
I'm using a
Yeah.
soft bridge.
Yeah.
And so when I go to take it off, you know, all I gotta do is just go up the back, and this peels right off.
Mm-hmm.
Litter, all their cups came down. They still had some sore edges, but the insides were all good. And I said, I'm gonna try this. And I'll tell you, I loved it. For that purpose, you know, is getting them up quick and getting this in there, and it worked great. And they stay up for 7+ days. I mean, could be 10+, I found with this. It is a pain to make, You know, it's work. It's more work than just doing the backer rod. Wire cutters.
Dikes.
The big toenail
Wire cutters.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Big toenail
My
clippers.
hands are getting, you know, a little, so I might need some help cutting anyway, but. It's, it says
Oh,
Milwaukee.
the zip tie?
Oh, these are the largest ones you can get. So you measure the same way you do the backer rod. Take it to the bottom of the pocket and just go up and about a quarter of an inch.
So I usually have to use dikes for that,
What's that?
to cut those.
Well, and I see, you don't want that digging into your puppy's ear if it's at the button. I don't think I'd want to do that, even though there is foam on the bottom. Okay. You can even use your grinders to get rid of the points. And I use latex free. It's been a while since I did this. So I take the bottom, I cut it off, and then I'll cut down so the middle has a little piece in there that I will push.
You make a taco.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, make a pocket. Yes, thank you. Make a pocket. And then I take my tape and I rip it in half. And then I push this down as far as I can. And I take my tape and wrap it around tightly, very tightly. Pouch at the bottom. Because you're going to protect its little ear. And so then I will cut some of this off so it will fit in there better. Okay? So I'll do that with my other one. Again, I just slice it right in the middle.
Now, this is another wedge.
A brand new wedge.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're only using the
Pointy.
the
pointy
end
end.
of it because it is thinner
Okay.
and it's pointier.
Okay.
And remember to use the end that you cut the corners off.
You never have a problem perforating the bottom after the.
It's not that deep in there.
Right. It's a lot of foam. The cable ties here, right here.
Right.
All that is foam. So I have Gorilla Tape. I think it's about 2 inch. And I rip it in the middle. And I lay one side down.
This is the hard part, getting the tape down.
It will, yes it will. It all does. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you put this together, the tape is always sticky side up. You have 3 layers here, really 4. 2 layers of tape, your cable tie, and then a layer of the white tape.
And that also helps keep it from so that it can't bend.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's keeping your
And you don't want
cable
to, I do
straight.
not tape my puppies directly with, Gorilla Glue. So you lay this on the tape with your foam piece right at the bottom and lay it in the middle. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, let me.
So it looks like that. Okay? Sticky side up.
This is Gorilla Tape?
Yes.
Like
I
heavy
love
duty duct tape?
Yes, I like Gorilla Tape. It's really sticky. And then I have another piece of Gorilla Tape, sticky side up. I put it right over the top. Because I don't like putting a piece of, some people might put white tape right over this. I wouldn't. And you rub it through to get all your little bubbles out so it's sticking. And so now I get my white tape. So again, sticky side up, because this is what's gonna go against the puppy's ear. And you just lay it right on. And you wanna make sure that it's all smooth. So there's nothing that can irritate the puppy's ears, because they're so sensitive. So that's what your post looks like. And you learn how to use this tape because it is sticky. You use your nails. Use your nails.
It's like on the video, it says 10 minutes later. She's still trying to unstick her fingers.
And the foam is, there's no pressure. There's no pressure on that ear. You know, there's no pressure. And the bottom. It's just a pain to make these.
And we take, rather than using the foam, we take a cotton ball, cut it in half. Okay. Make a little divot in it. It's just so that it gets down.
I need to post the big dog's ears, and I'm gonna make a zip tie out of mole foam and put it in the ears. It's very, very similar, but it's for a big dog.
Uh-oh, see that coming.
So you're leaving the sticky side out, then you're gonna do Torbots.
Okay, did she get the
Yeah.
pink?
So it's going to be glued to one piece of tape.
Right.
That's all it is. Glued to one piece of tape, no wrapping, no nothing.
Yeah, once you do this, she'll like it.
Yeah, like that.
We don't,
at her
we
ears.
had to do it on one of ours.
hasn't been.
And no problem, right?
My girl
Right.
doesn't.
It's
We
just,
studied up on it, we actually looked at the link on our own website.
But I've
that
never
said, here's
done
how
half
you do
post
it.
before.
And I'm like, this will work on this.
I did full post, and she just started getting.
but you see, because you get bubbles in here if you don't.
Ears.
So I just put it's not a thick layer, but it's enough to cover it. Because it does absorb it a little, this tape. And you know what? I'm just going to put a little bit on. You can hold that. Just a little bit. Stay put. And I start here. I don't put it down below. Just a little bit. Stay put. Go puppy. Go puppy.
Oklahoma, you're doing good.
Can you guys see? Are you okay?
Sort of, yeah.
Is it better if I come back here?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Can you guys see?
You just hold his head like that, okay. So you're gonna stick it, just like your post, you're gonna stick it into the bottom, firm, pull this, and I try to get as close to this side as I can,
Like back edge to back
and I'm
edge.
pulling his ear. You see me pulling his ear. And I push onto the ear, and that's it. And yes, you're gonna have this, and I cut it to make it look pretty. Stuff it down there, and keep it away from the ear so it doesn't stick too fast. And I just push down to the pocket, just like your normal back rod. Pull, pull, pull. Push it up against, and pull his ear. Smooth it out. Pull his ear up.
She was asking me if I could do it on a half post. and I
You could do the zip tie.
thought, 'cause the breather is
And you see, he's still not shaking his ears.
Yeah.
This guy.
What a good puppy. So I put it about a half an inch. get it straight, so his head's tilted. There. Kate, how does that look to you, Kate?
I think it looks great. I like them. Yeah.
Okay, and then all I do is I pinch this together.
You just tape the front side, is that what you're?
That's it.
That's it.
And I pinch
Those are
the
nice.
tape
Those are
like
super
that.
cool.
And then when I
How it gets gloopy. Turn around.
So when you do take them
Run
down,
away.
I start back here because there'll be a little pocket here because where the button is, there's a little hole you can get your Uni-Solve in. But I start the back when I start removing them, not the front, and just start squirting and working it, through.
You're gonna sit.
You trim those to fit a little bit.
When she's removing, she's starting
We have a big heavy
the
pair.
remover.
Yeah,
Right in
if
that
you-
little
yeah,
pocket
that might
there,
be
and
better.
Works it through.
I want
and
to
up.
cut the.
So I'm gonna make a zip tie for a big dog, with mole foam in a very similar way.
I've never seen it on the roll.
I'm using the same type of zip tie she's using. I've already cut it off and beveled it. I'll use one of these little makeup cotton rounds instead of the makeup sponge. Typically, what I will do is, again, I'm gonna do exactly like she did and make a little pad that's gonna cover that up. And this is the exact same principle of what she's doing. It's a little bit different sticky stuff. I think it works nice for a big dog, but I don't see why you couldn't use what you're doing on a big dog too. I'm doing pretty much the same thing as I'm making a little cotton bumper out of these makeup rounds that I just cut in half. I like them for the same reasons that they don't cover up the ear as much as far as breathing. I mean, and pretty much by the time I'm done with the dog, he's had everything from half post to full post to zip ties to, then the good old fashioned breathe right nasal strips at the end. If their ear tips are floppy, if they even need them, depending on. So I just make sure that if I hold it, that I don't feel anything sharp. Because I can, I'll dip them in neoprene. But then I'm gonna size them. Let me bring them over here. Hi, Dan. Hi, Davis. So I'm gonna push this down in his ear, all the way down. And I'm gonna kind of mark where that anti-helix is. So, because these are big wide things.
You're marking at the top of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anti-helix is about there. I know. Being a baby. I forgot to mark how long to make it. Just like all these things, they're always going to be longer than the ear. And these are long enough, you actually get 2 for 1. I know. Right about the middle of that. This is that thin mole foam.
Just roll foam or a roll?
Yeah, it's a roll of mole foam, a thin mole foam.
Like, is it
No, this is more like moleskin.
Okay.
Mole foam, is on
And
that
then where we
foam.
do with
It's
our
really thick.
turbots. It's yeah, it's 2 inch. This kind of makes a much bigger flag. It's almost like a flag by the time you're done. So I'll cut 2 of them the same size.
We'll do each one for each ear. I know, it does feel very artsy-fartsy. Like we're always like arts and crafting something. What I want to do is, I basically want my flag to start about on top of after the anti-helix or the bump, the shelf, or whatever you want to call it.
What do you mean by flag?
This is going to look like a flag. Hang on.
You said you start the flag.
It's this. So I'm going to make a flag here with 2 layers and get it to start here.
So you stick the 2 sides together so it's not sticky on the outside?
There's still a sticky side on the bottom that's still got the decal on it. I'm going to push all of this out. This is the flag. This is going to go in the ear. This is the sticky side. I haven't taken it off yet. So it's very much like what she's doing. But this is the moleskin thing, I think works really nice for a bigger dog. The only part it's going to really stick on is going to be above above the bump. He wants to play with the poppies. He said, I love poppies. Drags. It's only because he's a giant
Right
puppy.
now, it's sticky side down with the wrapper still on it. And that one sticky side too.
And then just the
Velvet
same, just like
side.
she did, I make all of my
Try your ears out. Bubbles.
all of my wrinkles and make sure I have good adhesion. Before I cut this, I'm going to size it again. Come here, do this. You're talking to me? No. Oh, come on. That's not fair. I didn't say that. Come on. We're going to push it out there. And if it's about right, it goes right. It just be right above the anti-helix. Well, it might be a little bit lower. Okay. And the same thing as she did, once I put it in there, I'm going to really pull that ear up onto it. But first I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and put glue on it. We have some fresher turbot.
Isn't there another Torbot?
And then I'm gonna also size it. I'd like to try your Gorilla Tape to try and tape them together. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, I hadn't tried that.
And I think we used half a strip, so however.
Okay. Well, as far as like, you want to tape them together a little bit. Typically, I mean, at this age, a dog that just needs a little bit of support doesn't always need a bridge, but I did like that Gorilla Tape bridge.
What's so interesting to me is that, yeah, you can pick and choose
I'm dipping
bits and
this in-
pieces of all
Right.
these methods.
I'm dipping
and
this in neoprene
make your
because
own.
it's just a little bit less irritating. Let's see if one of these is a little bit fresher. The Gorilla Tape. Give it a good coating of and I'm going to give one swipe up the ear. Can you hold him still?
No. Apparently I cannot. I thought I could.
Good boy.
He is a good boy. He said, why are you pulling on my ears, Mom?
I know, his ears are almost done. So same thing, I've got my little flag, and it's now I've got the thing off, and I've dipped it in neoprene. I'm gonna make sure I get it way down in that ear, as far as it will go. And as I push it in there, I'm gonna pull that ear up onto that flag.
Making sure your tip's nice and straight.
Make sure my tip is nice and straight, and just like she did, of course I have glue all over my hands now. And I'm just going to let it form for a minute. Push it on there. You can see I've got the anti-helix kind of exposed down there. I'm going to tuck it in there. And before you can rub that out, I get some of this glue off my hands. Same thing like that. See the anti-helix is right there?
Yeah.
So I kind of measured so that my flag part of it would
That's
kind of...
where that goes. Okay.
Right, I kind of
Okay.
tuck it in there. And then just like she did, I'm just going to mold it on there. And give it a chance to really, really stick. If I didn't have glue all over my hands, I wouldn't be gluing the back of his hair, of his ears, but I am. And with your really wicked ass scissors, I'm gonna cut. Of course, this is taller than I am. He's up high. And you also, if you want to, you can take the edge and roll it over and glue it. Like that. If you have enough edge, you can just gently roll that over the tip just for a little bit more security. But what you really want more than anything is just really good adhesion on that ear, on the what I call the waxy side of the ear. And I'm going to trim.
Katie, did you take off, before you stuck it on, did you take off the backing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, I took the backing off and added a little bit more turbot to it.
Torbot's there, okay.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, if you want some security, I mean, it wouldn't even hurt to do this. I mean, just to kind of seal it up here.
Guard-Tex around the tip.
Just a little bit. You don't have to. I'm not going to fold that. I'm just going to try and protect the edge where I've got the glue.
He's like,
I mean, at this age, he just needs occasional support. I'm only wrapping him like 2 or 3 days out of the week. So, I'll try some of your Gorilla Tape once I get the other one in. I stress that with our pet people, but we see experienced people do it too. You're like, don't leave those ears down. Don't, you know, at that stage, don't let them rest until they fail. If they can only be down a day or 2 hours before they're going to fall, then don't leave them down any longer than that. Leave them this way. Come here, Megan. All right, so I'm going to push this down into the ear nice and firmly. And then I hang on to my zip tie. I'm pulling down, and just like she did, I'm going to pull that ear up onto that, nice and snug. I'm going to tuck it down in there. This stuff starts just right above the anti-helix, the knob, the shelf, the whatever you call it, whatchamacallit, doodad. I'm going to hand me the wicked scissors. Glue off my hands. This thing.
Now the bottom has nothing down there to cushion it, and that doesn't bother?
it does have.
It does have a cushion on it.
It does.
It has. We wrapped like one of those circular cotton facial.
cotton round.
Cotton rounds. We wrapped it around, made it a little cotton bumper, and then we kind of lightly dabbed that bumper in some neopretif powder. Yeah, and we also rounded off the end of that zip tie so that it would be rounded. But you just want to get a good firm, adhesion to that skin. It's all right, baby. It's so hard being you. That's fine. I'll make it work, whatever we come up with. I'm as much covering the adhesive that I left on there as anything, and just kind of making something that hopefully won't pick up every speck of dirt that it goes by. I am giving a little bit of white. I think a little bit of white tape, just so that Guard-Tex is going to fall off. That'll be fine. I just get the lids back on the turbot. It's already pretty sticky. It gets gooey so fast. Gets gloopy really fast.
You gotta get that pulled up.
kind of securing that end, and I'll just make sure it's really stuck down on that skin. I mean, these are gonna last like just a couple days. I mean, if they're good, I've had them last a week too. When they're really this big, it's hard to get it to last a week because he's so strong, you know, at this point. But since Guard-Tex only sticks to itself, sometimes just making it where it doesn't slide down or slide up is worth it. Mine aren't near as pretty as hers. I'm always kind of sloppy. You want to try your bridge? Yeah. Just give me a long bridge with your drill tape. Let's see what happens. I haven't done that before. Do you have your wicked scissors?
I don't need scissors. Oh, you don't? You just want to hold the ears the way you want.
Sure. I'd say, yeah, about like that.
I'll say we'll put the Gorilla Tape right on here then.
Okay.
Because I don't think it will last long here
No.
because it's fiber. Okay.
Right, okay. Sure. Yeah, no more than that. Yeah.
Well, you know what you do is you just put it in as far as
After editing, yeah.
you need.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Oh, sorry.
Right? Mm-hmm. And about like that. Boy, drags, man. Oh boy. Giant goober head.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, cool. I like it.
Take a bow. Good job.